Hi, and welcome back to this week's podcast episode of Web3 Compass. I'm back from the Crypto Assets Conference 2022B, and I just want to give you today my impressions and my thoughts on the conference, on what the speaker said, and let's dive right into it. I want to go a little bit with the flow, so this is probably my 10th take, but this take will be my last one. So the first day of the conference was about Bitcoin, crypto assets, smart contracts, DeFi, metaverse, NFTs, and inflation. And the second day was about digital securities, digital assets, the digital euro infrastructure, MiCA, custody, and sustainability. A lot of topics. However, I think the focus was on finance. So on DeFi and TradFi, decentralized finance and traditional finance. And the conference had the slogan, bringing together experts from the crypto and financial world. And just to give you also some words about the conference, so you know a little bit more about the setting. It's taking place at the Frankfurt School Blockchain Center or Frankfurt School of Finance. And it's basically hosted in one big room, or there's one big room in German universities, or maybe also internationally. It's called Audimax. And there was like one speaker after another. So no different stages, but it was completely fine with me. I think it also had like good sides, because I listened to a lot of regulatory topics, or to a lot of regulatory speakers. And I never felt bored. And if you didn't had energy, or you were really not interested in one topic, you could always go out of the room, and there was like a networking area where they also had drinks, and later on also food, and also the companies had their booth there. And I would say the conference was a who is who of the German crypto scene, and especially of the German crypto scene with an exposure to crypto assets, of course, or to also, maybe you could generalize it and say to finance. And it was like a very formal setting, I would say. I was probably one of the only persons with a shirt there. Even somebody at the first day said to me, I think you're the only one with a shirt here. So a lot of people in suits. There were, I think, a lot of regulators, bankers, consultants, lawyers, and also some entrepreneurs, of course. And so the conference started with somebody from the Ethereum Foundation talking about the merge. And of course, moving from proof of work to proof of stake is much better for the environment. But the speaker also said something about slashing, which is like a new feature, which basically gives the possibility to punish somebody and block somebody. For example, I read about a case where somebody did like a double validation of a block, and it's against the code. And so there was a fine of 1 Ethereum, and also I think the other 31 Ethereum were frozen for, I think, a month or something like that. And why 31 Ethereum? You need 32 Ethereum to stake. And and I'm not sure how I should think about it. I probably also don't have enough information about this topic, because it has pros, of course, and cons. Pros is, of course, you could stop bad actors, and you could stop, for example, or the community could stop like a competitive takeover. But you also have to think about dispossession. So I read on Medium in one article, it was another blockchain, but people of a network really thought about dispossessing a whale, because the whale was a threat to the network. I'm not sure. I think because if the whale would have dropped all the liquidity, the token or whatever would depack, or whatever the scenario would be. And I don't know how I should see it. You also have to think about Ethereum is quite centralized. There are a lot of big players, and I read in some critics that slashing could polarize, and for example, a government could influence like one big player to, for example, block a wallet or something like that. So I have to do more research on that, but I just wanted to share you my thoughts, even though they are quite raw at the moment. There was also a lot of speakers talked about MiCA, which is basically a regulation framework, and I'm probably not the right person to go into depth here. At this point of time, I also have to say there's no financial advice which I give you here, and there's also no legal advice. So please consult with anybody else, but not with me, and always do your own research. However, what I can say about MiCA is that I think with the legislation in place, institutional investors will definitely follow, because they need legal clarity, and there's now like a framework. However, I wrote something down from one of the speakers who said it is still possible to issue distributed ledger technology-based financial instruments, and those are not captured by MiCA. So MiCA is with limitations and also with loopholes, probably, if you want to regulate it totally. But I don't know. I just wrote it down. It's like a direct citation of one of the speakers. I think it shows like a global direction of legislation. There are a lot new laws which are currently being drafted, and I think it paves the path for the next generation, which is institutional investors entering the markets. And of course, with institutional investors entering the market, I think some things will change. I think it will get, of course, more centralized, because I don't know if you can imagine how much money those institutional investors have. It's basically, so even the complete cryptocurrency ecosystem right now is nothing against the billions of dollars they have under management. And yeah, what I thought also is that there will be a lot of new intermediaries, I would even call them, because there's too high uncertainty in the market. On the one side, from the legislation perspective, so you need lawyers. On the other hand, probably also from the custody perspective. So custody is very hard for an institutional investor. And for example, if I would have like a large amount of money, I would also don't want to hold it on my ledger in my house, for example. I think there was also one of the Ethereum founders said he sold all his crypto tokens because he was so afraid of getting kidnapped. And yeah, if you have all these new stakeholders in the market, you have to think about if the blockchain really removes intermediaries, or at least for the beginning, it is even more expensive than, let's say, Web 2 or traditional transactions. At least with traditional cryptocurrencies, because then you need like a lawyer, then you need like your custodian, and probably also some people will have consultants. And yeah, they also talked about the prices for custody, which are currently quite high, which will probably go down. I also talked to somebody, which was one of my most interesting conversations, from also like a large asset manager. And he said, yeah, of course, there's currently a lot of need for consultation because of the high uncertainty, but he thinks it will go down if the things are clear. This will be probably the case in the future, but for now, people probably have high costs when they have like bigger businesses. So what I also think was very interesting was the amount of banks there. And also, it was often said that basically every major bank is working on the adoption of blockchain technologies, and also, digital assets. Are they now cryptocurrencies or tokenized stocks? I don't know. Probably this is now depending on the bank, but there's is a lot of things brewing, and I often also heard that the crypto winter is here for building. And if you think about this term, I can't cite it right now, but it's probably when it's one time, when something happens one time, it could be like a black swan event or something. It could be just coincidence. If it happens two times, it's a little bit strange. So when I say it happens one time, I speak about the crypto cycles, the bull markets, then the second bull market in 2017. And now last year, the bull market, it happened a third time. And now, of course, cryptocurrencies still have like a high value, and there are still a lot of people in the space. And also, of course, no financial advice, as I said before. But I also believe there will be a fourth time. And also one often quoted figure was that there will be like 1 billion crypto users in 2030. And with the legislation in place or currently on the way, and institutional investors getting into the space, and also with all the implications it has on the politicians, on marketing, and all this stuff, I think this number could definitely be a realistic number. There are still a lot of disagreements about certain topics, for example, NFTs. And what I think was very interesting was that the managing director of Binance Germany was quite critical against NFTs. In my opinion, he was 100% right with it, because a lot of people got fooled, a lot of people got scammed, and it got the space again a bad reputation. And when people burn their fingers, right, they don't want to invest any more money. And you have the same case, for example, in Germany, where there was a telecom stock, and they invested in the stock and lost a lot of money, because you can look at the chart. I don't know when exactly it was. I think about the turn of the century, and a lot of people lost a lot of money, and then they had a strong aversion against investing in stocks again. So yeah, but however, I think Binance NFT, I used it last year at the NFT craze heavily, and they had a lot of trashy projects. So I have to say this at this moment, they had a lot of trashy projects on their platform. They also had a lot of loot boxes, which was, in my opinion, some sort of gambling. So I'm quite skeptical about the Binance NFT marketplace. There might be some good projects, but there were a lot of bad projects. And in general, of course, a lot of people from the traditional financial world were very skeptical about NFTs. Probably in general, you have to ask yourself if you think art is a scam or not. Some people believe in art. Some people think art is a scam. I personally think there's art, and art can definitely be a scam. And I think a lot of artists also know it, and they laugh behind closed doors about the people buying the art. But on the other hand, I think also art can be art, and I have to say it. Of course, I paint myself, and I have like a strong affection for art. But yeah, NFTs, where there were a lot of people talking quite critical about NFTs, or NFTs in the sense of the the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Yeah, talking about the adoption of blockchain in the corporate sector, in the industry, there was somebody from BMW who talked about, I think it was very interesting, about, for example, a passport for vehicles. And I also, when I did like my 6-week course at MIT about blockchain technologies, I had one assignment where I also had to do such a case, and I also talked about the car market. there's a problem in the used car market. You don't know about the accidents. You don't know if the mileage is correct, who was the previous owner, what's the right production date. And here in Germany, some people say of when cars come from, let's say, special places and they come to Germany, the mileage, depending on the place, might not be correct. So there are some countries which are famous for, let's say, adjusting the cars. And I think this was very interesting. But I always have in the back of my head the question, does it have to be blockchain based? And if there's, for example, BMW, and BMW issues such a vehicle passport, and everybody who works on the car has to do an entry on the vehicle passport, it probably does not have to be blockchain based. And you could also trust it if it's, for example, from BMW. If they have like their certified mechanics, why does it have to be blockchain based? It can be, but you always have to think about the blockchain trilemma, right? And blockchains against traditional databases have, of course, scalability issues. On the other hand, I also made some notes. It can be a good thing if you have like a general vehicle passport, for example, on a public blockchain like Ethereum. I mean, you never know about the life cycle of companies. I'm from Bavaria, and let's move a little bit away from the BMW case because I like the company. But let's just look at the life cycle of companies in the S&P 500. There's a study from McKinsey, and it went extremely down. So companies don't stay there as long as they used to. I think digitalization played a huge role in this, and probably also the pace of development. Which might be also like a case why you should think twice about stock picking, for example. This is another case. Picking stocks. There was somebody who said at the conference, probably picking cryptocurrencies is the same as picking stocks. It will be hard to outperform the market, and probably most of people cannot do it. And I totally agree with it. So, which is why I think like cryptocurrency exchange traded funds, so ETFs, might be a good idea. Of course, it will not be decentralized as having your own wallet. But for mass adoption, I think most people will anyway not have their own wallet. Just look how many people have stocks, or how many people have, how many people know what a fund is, or even what an ETF is. Most of the people don't know what it is. And now you have to explain them how to have like a MetaMask wallet, and then have your cold wallet, and then move your cryptocurrencies there. And before in the start, you have to first explain them what a cryptocurrency is. I think it's just unrealistic. Even when I use my Nano Ledger X and I want to transfer NFTs, for example, on my cold wallet, I'm not feeling very well doing this. So, and I watch a lot of tutorials. I think I'm quite comfortable with a lot of these topics, but I'm not feeling quite comfortable. And especially if I would have larger amounts, this would be completely another case. I would feel even more insecure about it, and probably get some help from like a professional company, which of course will be again like an intermediary. Or it will get more easier. I don't know what's MetaMask up to. Also, exchanges, they play a huge role. Just look at the investments of Deutsche Börse, for example, or we also have like the Stuttgart exchange, which I think they do everything in the value chain. So they have their B2C platform. They have like a custody platform, and I also think they do trading, but I'm not 100% sure about that. I have to dig deeper into that topic. yeah, but also very interesting how much exchanges are investing into the space. Yeah, let's talk quickly about the evolution of the internet. I once had like the software architect Eberhard Wolf in my podcast. I think it's a German episode where he said, okay, the internet was decentralized, and there were, for example, a lot of different email providers. Then it got centralized, and now it should become decentralized again. So how do I see it? Quite critically. I think there will be maybe more decentralized applications in the future, but I think, and this is a theory I have not thought through, but maybe I'm just curious to hear your opinion on it on the Discord channel, is about like the winner takes it all effects and platform effects. And why did the internet become centralized? Because at a certain point, companies like Google, for example, or even Facebook, gave us such high advantages. So using this stuff for free, of course, you pay in another way, but anyway, people. Let's take the case of Meta or Facebook. They should probably know about what happens to their data. But I also use WhatsApp. I'm also on Instagram. I wouldn't say that I don't care what happens with my data, but you're very locked in, right? So it's hard to go away. And of course, some people I talk to are saying, yeah, just leave the platform, just go anywhere where other people aren't, and they have to move then when they want to contact with you. But never underestimate the ease of use and also the network effects. When I would now vanish from a platform, maybe say, hey, I'm now only reachable on Telegram. It might work for some people out there, but not for me. So not in my generation. I'm 22 years old, and I have a lot of people on Instagram where I share memes with them, and yeah, I also don't want to miss completely out on it, to be honest. Yeah, and I think to circle back to the topic, there will be like again a centralization of in the crypto space. Just look at Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, FTX, and all these big exchanges. And of course, they have certain advantages. For example, trust. At Binance, for example, or Coinbase, you can buy your cryptocurrencies, and a lot of people did it and they didn't get scammed. So it also has like advantages. Yeah, circling back to NFTs, so to NFT use cases. One big topic again was gaming, which I think is of course interesting, just for the case that you can move your in-game assets around to other platforms. But I think I also said it in the past. I don't know if this is really necessary. Of course, it might be good if there are a lot of, let's say, different game studios cooperating on a certain standard, and then you can have maybe one design and you can take it from one game into the other. But I'm not sure if this would happen. And yeah, I then also don't know if it really needs to be blockchain based. Of course, in-game assets can be or can get lost, but from my online gaming experience, it doesn't happen too much. And then if you made like a screenshot or had like a recording, of course, this is maybe hard to say, but the support, at least if the game was good, was oftentimes very, very nice to you. Where I'm not sure if it needs to be blockchain based, like for example, tickets to events, of course, it's like a possible use case. But what's with Eventbrite, for example, where you got your ticket directly on your mobile phone? Does it really have to be blockchain based? I don't know. Or is it just a goodie? And don't underestimate this case, Because I think if it's a goodie, if it's like a marketing move, and you have, for example, I think there's a watchmaker who also gives you like an NFT, like your watch as an NFT. And when it's really good art, I think it's a very nice goodie. I would like to have something like that. I would like to have something like that digitally, because I think it's nice, and it's like, yeah, as I said, it's a goodie, and it's it's cool. And I think also trading cards or such things, they don't have to be blockchain based, but it's maybe just like something nice to have, where I think it is here and will stay on the blockchain, and it's a nice thought. Okay, I'm here again in our thinking process. When there would be like a company, they could also, of course, provide them. But if the company defaults in, let's say, 50 years, okay, it would make sense to have it blockchain based, especially if the transaction fees are low and the minting fees are low. So I'm also sometimes struggling with things like that. What I think is like a very good use case is like Web3 social media posts, like NFTs as social media posts. It would be a way to avoid censorship. And there were also cases on, I think even on the Ethereum blockchain, where some people let's say screamed for help or something like that, or documented things on the blockchain because they were afraid that the documents get stolen or something like that. And I think these are good use cases, but you also have to think about this in a bad way. And what if somebody publishes, let's say, illegal content on the blockchain and you cannot remove it? Could be all kind of content. I'm not sure how I should think about that. What I also heard about is a project where you could use your camera to map the whole world. So they want to map the whole world. And I think I thought about this. Okay, it's very interesting. There are now a lot of such projects which want to have the air conditions around the whole globe and want to record a lot of things from the whole globe. But I think using your camera and installing cameras or something like that to map the whole world and to have them running, I think it's very scary. Maybe I have got something wrong, but it's like surveillance overkill. Yeah, talking about blockchain technologies for digital assets, for example, for digital certificates. I think this is very interesting because it's a little bit like the one with the BMW case with the digital passport. If something happens to the company, everything is tracked on a decentral network. And also never forget about DLT technologies, or that it enables you to earn royalties. And just take like a musician who sells his songs. His songs, right? So they have like a music catalog, which I think is very interesting. Then the song rights could become tradable, or they could fractionalize them, and the musician could have like even another stream of income from trading the royalties. And it would, however, it would increase the transaction costs, because so somebody has to pay it, of course, if the musician or the stakeholder always gets royalties, someone in the end has to pay it. Maybe circling back to the digital certificates, I hope I'm not too unstructured, but circling back there, I also made like a very interesting note, is that stolen goods become unsellable. Let's have like a token and you can report it, and there's maybe like an infrastructure. Then they could report it as stolen, and if you want to buy like, let's say like a very expensive watch, you check the token and then it's reported stolen, then you don't buy the watch. And I think it's very interesting. Also, I think the speaker said it's also a stronger claim against the insurance company. Yeah, so a lot of thoughts. Sometimes you also probably noticed I'm not even sure how to think about everything. Adding another comment to the NFT topic about secondary markets. Let's, for example, say we have the case that we fractionalize an asset. Let's say, for example, a watch. Your fractions also have to become tradable. And Timeless, for example, who does exactly this, they have the marketplace integrated on their own platform. But I think it must be possible to also trade with other platforms to have like a higher liquidity. And there needs to be a liquid secondary market to sell the tokens. And what I think a company which is currently flying under the radar, 360X, which are, as far as I know, tokenizing assets for institutional investors. And it's very, very interesting what they are doing, and I'm very excited what they are up to. And you need institutional investors for liquidity. If you have like certain assets, you just need the demand from institutional investors to trade it, and you want also to have this liquidity. Yeah, there was also a JP Morgan experts panel. I'm just looking at my notes right now. And what I thought was very interesting about blockchain use cases were like cross-border payments, so that they are always on 24/7, that money becomes programmable. And currently the scalability is missing, but it will come. And I think this is very interesting. If you talk to banks, there are a lot of cases where they want to enable 24/7 and faster settlement, 24/7 transactions and faster settlement. But I'm not sure on which standard it will be. Will there be like a bank like JP Morgan with a platform for other banks? Will banks come together and have like an open source platform? I'm not sure about that. Will there be something like a Bloomberg which provides the infrastructure? Will it be the exchanges? And then maybe also what happens when there are different standards? Will there be bridges? And somebody also from JP Morgan said that 70% of cybersecurity losses in the crypto space are related to cross-bridge hacks. And I don't know if I said it or wrote it in the Discord, but of course these bridge hacks are a major security gap. And always think about this: if you have a bridge and it would be stable right now, okay, let's have like maybe a simple bridge. It's simple and it has no flaws. It's stable right now. But what happens if you scale and you have to update the bridge? Maybe the next update will also be without flaws. But sooner or later, let's take, for example, 10 years, right now, 10 years, and you have several updates in these 10 years. The possibility that there will be like a security breach will probably go to 100%, because people make mistakes. When there's enough money behind the bridge, somebody will probably hack it. Maybe there are solutions for this. If you, for example, could track who hacked the bridge, or I'm not sure. So I don't know what would be a good solution. I'm also no programmer, so I have little coding skills, but I'm way less advanced to give you a good idea here. But maybe there will be good ideas in the future. I mean, the same thing applies to blockchain technologies, right? So Bitcoin also gets updated. and there's a huge bounty on it, and it also works. So maybe it could also work for a bridge. Post-quantum encryption, also very interesting. There's a great article on the Cloudflare blog. Because when there's quantum computers, just so everybody knows it, there will be completely new possibilities to operate, also to hack somebody, and there is some post quantum encryption, but I can't tell you in detail how it works. So probably if you're interested in that, there's a great article on the Cloudflare blog. So summarizing my experiences from the conference, I already said it on a LinkedIn post. The more I get into the crypto space, the more I think I know very little about it. And I also, even my basic questions, I already asked a lot of people, but I think they can't be answered because they are unclear. For example, with what happens when the 21 million Bitcoins are mined. I mean, I talked to Peer Chemist. There will be probably forks, but we don't know. Everything is changing, and also it's hard to predict the future. Maybe some people can do it, but I really not sure if anybody can do it at this point of time. It would be like predicting the future of the internet in 1998. Maybe some people make very good guesses and also then have the funding and the minds to build something great, like for example Amazon did. But I think it's very hard, and you also have to be lucky to a certain extent. And drawing now the conclusion overall to the conference is there are a lot of topics. There's a lot of things in the space. I think one more reason why it's here to stay is just the adoption. The adoption is coming. Everybody is building in the winter. Yeah, so. There's a lot of money behind it. I also think I also wrote this on my LinkedIn post. Probably finance will be one of the areas. Of course, now also impossible to predict, but the financial sector will be probably the one which will be most disrupted by it. Will be everything related to cryptocurrencies, so to Bitcoin, Ethereum, or something like that, or will it be just let's say distributed ledger technologies, blockchain technologies from the banks, for the traditional financial ecosystem, just to make their processes faster, more efficient, also to avoid intermediaries in the long term at least. I don't know. I'm also not sure about CBDC, central bank digital currencies, how everything will work out. Also with privacy and this stuff. There are a lot of open question marks, I think. But yeah, overall, I think a very interesting conference. Also very nice to see it from another side, I would say, from like a more formal side, maybe a more structured side. And I'm curious what the future holds. Yeah, also in some moments when I reflect on 2021 and a lot of the scams and also a lot of the use cases in the end, I'm uncertain about the technology because about all the fraud, and also because I think the question, does it really have to be blockchain based, is asked way too little. I get like a high uncertainty if this all makes sense. But when I see how many big corporations are moving into the space, I think in the end it will all add up. Very important will be the use cases. Maybe adding up on the use cases, probably one of the most interesting use cases I thought was one about paying people with cryptocurrencies. So it was like a startup. Wait, let me check it out. It was called basenode.ai. So I have not did my due diligence on them. So do your own research before buying their product. I also don't say it's a bad product. I just didn't check them intensively. But it was very interesting because somebody said they paid a salary, or he or she got a salary from 4,500 euro, and had to pay 670 euro PayPal fee. Yeah, I can confirm that. I don't know. I just know that PayPal fees can be large for business transactions, and they offer the possibility to pay freelancers in USDC. And of course, everybody right now, or not everybody, but most people right now want to hold dollar, US dollar, because a lot of other currencies lose value and also are way too volatile, looking to Turkey, for example, but also the euro or the Great British Pound. I could right now decide if I want to take my currency in euro or in dollar, and of course I have to look at the transaction fees or the exchange fees, and but then I would decide for the dollar, because right now in the current market environment, they did a lot of things against the inflation, and I don't know what the European Union will do or even can do about the inflation. And I thought this was very interesting. So circling back to the topic, to pay people in USDC, and I also saw it on some Discord channels. And it's also, you don't have to pay a lot of fees for this. Yeah, this was very interesting. So summarizing it overall, I'm quite optimistic about the space and about the technologies. Even though we have to look out to not get fooled by some certain hypes and some, let's say, fake use cases of the technology. Always reflect, does it really have to be blockchain based? Why does it have to be blockchain based? And when there are strong reasons for this, for example, that it should be trustless, then I think there are some very good use cases. So with these words, I hope this episode was not too unstructured. I know I have to do a lot of cutting on this episode, but I hope the end result is well. I also want to say, if you bared with me, if you stayed with me until this long, that I try to publish regularly, but I always value quality more than quantity, and I have a lot of things to do also in my job and in my private life, so I do it on the side. And it is not always possible to publish one episode in a week, and I will give my best to stay consistent, because I think there's so much coming up, and being right now here in the crypto winter, and now looking at the technologies, now reflecting on what could come, on diving deep now, maybe if you're like a founder on now building something, I think there will be a lot of fortunes to be made. And with these words, I will now finally end it. Thanks for listening to the podcast episode. Check the Discord out. Thank you. Bye.